video, we are going to practice creating and using locations. The exercise we're going to do is over here on the right-hand side, and this is what we will follow along with. It is pulled from our advanced level ProAdvisor certification course. If you would like more information about that course after we go through the exercise, be sure to click on the link below in the description. Let's dive right in and see what we're going to do today. Craig's business has really grown, so he has opened up a new East Coast office. He will need to track all income and expenses for this location, and the new address shown here will need to be on all his sales forms. So, how would you help him set this up? You will need to be in the sample company to do this exercise. Now, if you're not sure how to get into the sample company or get your own free QBOA account, be sure to click on the link below in the description. I have the sample company pulled up here on the left-hand side. This specifically is the dashboard, and this is what we will work in for this exercise. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we need to do is turn on the locations feature. So to do that, we need to click on the gear icon and then select account and settings. The gear icon is up here on the top right corner of the sample company. Click on that. And then under your company, you will select account and settings. Now we need to get to the advanced tab. So that is over here on the left-hand side. At the very bottom is advanced. Click on that. And then we need to go into the categories section to make it editable. So click anywhere to do so. And then we're going to click on the toggle next to track locations to turn it on. Now categories is the fourth one down. Click anywhere in this section to make it editable. And then next to track locations, you see this toggle. Go ahead and click that so it turns green. You'll get this little pop-up here or this little drop down here. Leave that as is. All we needed to do was turn this on, and then we can go ahead and click on the green save button. And now you can see track locations is turned on. So we are all done here. Click on the green done button down here on the bottom right of the screen. Next, we need to set up the locations. So to do this, we need to go back to that gear icon and then this time select all lists. The gear icon, once again, click on that. And then under lists, you're going to select all lists. Now we need to go into the locations area. So we're going to click on locations. That's on the bottom left of the column here. Click on that so that we get to the locations page. Currently, you can see that there are no locations that are set up. So we need to set them both up for the West Coast office location and the East Coast office location. We'll start with the main one first, which is the West location, since that will be the easiest. So let's click on New. That is the green button right here. And then in the name field, we want to type West, and then we're going to click on Save. So the name field is here. Click into that. Go ahead and type West. And when you do, it's all good to go. So you can go ahead and click on the green Save button. And you can see the West Coast office has now been set up. Now let's go ahead and set up the new East Coast office location. Once again, we're going to click on that green New button. And this time in the name field, we're going to type East. So click into that name field, go ahead and type East. And this one's going to be a little bit different because remember, this has a different address than the other location. And so we need to click on the checkbox next to this location has a different address where customers contact me or send payments. So that is the 1, 2, 3, 4th one down where it says different address. Click on that checkbox. And then you will see the information for an address appear for us. We need to change it because this is currently the West Coast office location. So we need to change that address to the one that was in this scenario, which is this 456 12th Street, Northwest, Albany, New York, 12212. So let's go ahead and update everything that is here. Delete the address line and type 456 12th Street, Northwest. The city, once again, is Albany, so delete what is currently there and type Albany. The state is New York. Delete that CA for California for an NY for New York. And then the zip code is now going to be 12212. So 456 12th Street Northwest, Albany, New York, 12212. That matches here. So now we can go ahead and click on the green Save button. And now the East Coast location has been saved. So we have both of them set up at this time. Next, we need to assign old transactions to the locations. So to do this, we're going to use the Reclassify Transactions tool. To get there, we need to click on Accountant Tools and then select Reclassify Transactions. Accountant Tools is right here at the top. Click on that. And then under Tools, you will see Reclassify Transactions. Click on that. Now for this, we need to change the date range a little bit so that we can get all of the transactions pulled up. So in the From field, we're going to select January 1st of last year, and then in the To field, select today's date. And this date range is quite large, but it ensures that all transactions in the sample company are found and showing up when we try to pull up a search. So let's change this in the From field here. Click on that calendar icon, scroll all the way back to January 1st of the previous year. For me, that is January 1st of 2023. Yours may be a little bit different depending on when you are doing this exercise. In the To field, you want to put today's date. So for me, that is February 2nd of 2024. Again, depending on when you are doing this exercise and watching this video, your date may be a little bit different. Now, there is one customer, Pies Cakes, that will need to be reclassified to the East Coast location. So in the vendor or customer vendor field, we need to select Pies Cakes so that we only see her transactions. The customer vendor field is right here. Click on that down arrow, and then we're going to scroll a little bit down until we find Pies Cakes. Go ahead and click on her name. And then we're going to click on Find Transactions, which is just below all of that. And you will see there are two transactions that are going to appear in the search for us. I am going to collapse this little column here, or this little section. You can do so as well. I'm going to click on this arrow so it collapses. It's just going to make it a little bit easier to see what is on my screen since my sample company is shortened and not going all the way across the screen. You can leave it there, or you can also collapse it. So back to the exercise, we have the two transactions here. We want to click on the checkbox at the top of the grid to select both of the transactions and then click on Reclassify. So that checkbox at the top is right here. It's next to date. When you click on that, both will be selected. So go ahead and click on Reclassify. We need to, in the Change Location To field, select East, and then we can click on Apply. That change location to is right here. Click on that down arrow and then go ahead and click on East to select the East Coast location. And then we're going to simply click on Apply. Now you will notice that once we have clicked apply, it says transaction has been changed. Here in that location field, it is showing as East. And I know the formatting is a little bit different than how we had it set up here. I think this is just a glitch in the sample company that it shows all lowercase letters, but just know that the way you did it is still gonna show up properly. In other areas, it's just right here. For whatever reason, it shows all lowercase letters. All right, so there is also one vendor hall properties that will need to be reclassified to the East Coast location. So let's pull up their transactions. In the customer vendor field, we need to change it to hall properties. Now, right now it says Pies Cakes. We want to see hall properties, so click on the down arrow. When you start scrolling, you'll get to where the H should be, and you may notice that they are not showing up there. And that is because all of the customers are listed first, and then the vendors are all listed in alphabetical order. So you got to keep scrolling now towards the bottom so that you can find hall properties. Once you find them, go ahead and click on their name, and then we're going to once again click on Find Transactions. There is only one here, so we're going to click on the checkbox next to the one transaction and then click on Reclassify. So click on the checkbox next to that bill, click on Reclassify, and just like before, in the Change Location To field, we need to select East and then click on Apply. So click on that down arrow right next or in the Change Location To field, select East, and then go ahead and click on Apply. And now that one has been applied for the East location. It is still showing, or it is now showing for that particular transaction. Finally, classify the remaining transactions to the West location. Start by changing the filter criteria to only show those that have no location assigned to them. So in the location field, we're going to select none. That is right here. Click on that down arrow, select none. And then in the vendor or customer vendor field, we want to select all so that we're seeing all of the transactions from all customers and vendors. Then we simply need to click on the Find Transactions. Now you will notice here that there are a lot of transactions and they will go over into several pages. Now when you can only note that you can only reclassify one page of transactions at a time, so you have to repeat the following steps a couple of times until all but three are classified. And there you'll see a little bit further down where we go. So first thing we need to do is to select all of the transactions. We just click on the top of the top checkbox at the top of the grid to select them all and then click on reclassify. You're going to click on that check or that top one right there next to date so that they are all selected. Now before I do that and click on reclassify, I do want to make a note here that there are three problematic transactions that we need to uncheck as we are going through the next couple of steps. One of those is a transaction for $200 deposit for savings that cannot be reclassified and will cause your system to hang up if you try. So you have to uncheck that one prior to continuing. Let's just take a really quick peek to see if it is on this particular page. And sure enough, it is. It's not too far down. It says deposit to savings, money to savings for $200. Be sure to uncheck that particular transaction so it is not selected. And then we are going to click on the reclassify button because all the other ones are good to go. And then in the change location to field, we're going to select West and then click on apply. So change location to, click that down arrow, select West, and then click on apply. And now those transactions have been changed, and that one transaction that we had unchecked is showing right here at the top. So we're going to repeat this step because we have another page that we need to go through. So before we do that, in addition to this one problematic deposit transaction mentioned above, there are two sales tax payment transactions that will not classify. They're not going to cause the system to hang up, but we should uncheck them when we see them. So let's go ahead and click on that top checkbox to select all. We're going to unselect this one deposit at the very top since that one will not reclassify. And then let's scroll down a little bit and see if we can find those sales tax payments and see if they are on this page. I do not see them. So we are good to go. Go ahead and click on the reclassify. And then in the change location to, we're changing this to West. So select West and then click on apply. And now all of those transactions have been changed. Once again, we're going to do the same thing. Click on that top checkbox right there. Click on the transaction or the checkbox next to the deposit for that savings one. Let's scroll down until we find those sales tax payments. These are the two that also cannot be reclassified. So let's go ahead and click on the checkbox next to both of those so that they are unchecked. And then we can click on the reclassify button. Change location to can be clicked into and then clicked to select West. And then go ahead and click on the green apply button. And there's just a couple left here. You can go ahead and click on those remaining transactions right here. Once again, click on reclassify. The change location to field needs to be selected to West and then click on the green apply button. And now there should only be three that are showing. Now, as a note here for these last couple steps that you were just doing, where you were reclassifying all the transactions to West, the dates in the sample company are always changing. And so it is very possible that the order that you had yours in when you were doing this is a little bit different than what I just did. The ultimate goal here is to reclassify all the transactions except for these three to the West location. So once you have done that, you should only have these three remaining. So now that we've reclassified the old transactions, let's create some new ones so we can see how that looks. We will create one for pies cakes. So we're going to click on the plus new button and then select invoice. The plus new button is up here on the left hand side. Click on that and then under customers, select invoice. And when this pulls up, we will fill it out. Before we do, you want to notice that the location is automatically selected as West right here. And this is because West is was last used when reclassifying in the previous steps. Remember, we were reclassifying East location first, and then all those other transactions we were reclassifying as West. So since that was the last thing that we used, that's what's showing up right here. Locations are based on the location of the sale. They are not associated with a customer record. So even if we are going to select in here Pies Cakes, this is not going to automatically change to East because it is not associated, the location is not associated with Pies Cakes specifically. So just know that in real life, if you are working with locations, you need to be very aware of what this is and double check it before you submit anything just to make sure that it is the correct location that you want. So let's go ahead and fill out this invoice. We're in the customer field. We're going to select Pies Cakes. Go ahead and click on that down arrow and you can scroll to Pies Cakes, or you can start typing her name in the customer field. Either way is fine. Once you find her, go ahead and click on her name. In the location field, we want to select East because this one is associated with our East Coast office location. So we want to make this change. Click that down arrow and then select East. Let's fill out the rest of the invoice. So on the first line in the product service field, we're going to select Rock Fountain. So click into this first box. You can click into it once and start typing, or you can click into it 2 times and scroll down a little bit until you find Rock Fountain. Once you do, go ahead and click on it. You will see all the other information populate here on this line. This is exactly what we want, and so everything is looking good. Now, to see how this appears on the invoice, this new address, the East Coast location, on the black bar, let's go ahead and click on Print and Preview and then select Print or Preview from the drop down. So Print or Preview is right here on this bottom. Go ahead and click on that. And then you want to once again click on Print or Preview. It's showing as the invoice is saved, and then here is that print preview. Now, if you scroll in a little bit, you can see here the address. I don't know if you can see on my screen. Here is that East Coast office location that is part of that invoice, which is perfect. That is exactly what Craig had wanted as part of the scenario. He wanted this new address on all of these sales forms. So everything is looking really good, and now we can go ahead and exit out of this preview. There is a close button down here on the bottom left corner. I know my video screen is covering it, but there is a close button. Go ahead and click on that to get out of that print preview. And then we're going to click on the down arrow next to Save and Send, and then select Save and Close. A down arrow is right here. Click on that and then you can click on Save and Close. And just before I do that, I just want to make a note here that in a real life scenario, if you are creating an invoice and you have, the customer's email here, you can actually click on Save and Send. We don't do it here in our exercises because the sample company doesn't allow us to send anything. So we just simply save and close. But just know that that is an option, that if you want to send it after you're completing it directly to the customer, you would click on Save and Send. So I'll go ahead and click on Save and Close. And now that invoice has been saved. Now let's create a bill for Hall Properties. To do this, we're going to click on the plus new button and then select bill. The plus new button is up here again on that top left corner. Click on that. And then under vendors, you're going to select bill. Let's go ahead and fill it out. In the vendor field, we're going to select Hall Properties. So click on that down arrow and start scrolling down to Hall Properties, or once again, you can type into the box there for it to show up. Now you'll notice that the location is automatically selected as East. Remember, that is what we used in that previous transaction where we were creating that invoice for Pies Cakes. For this transaction, this is because East is the location that we used in the last transaction, as I just mentioned. So you want to leave this as is because we do have Hall Properties associated with our East Coast office location. So having it like this already is perfect. You'll notice too that when you selected Hall Properties in the vendor field, the bill information automatically populated from the last bill. That is right here. And this is due to a setting in the account and settings, so that the next time you create the bill for the vendor, it's also going to remember this location as well. So this is just populated from the last bill that we had created for Hall Properties. It is a setting in account settings. You can always turn it off. And just know that if you do not turn it off and it does this, you can still overwrite what is currently here. So just know that it's not like set in stone if you have that setting turned on. So this is all good. We are going to click on that down arrow next to Save and Schedule Payment to select Save and Close. If you have any pop-ups here, just go ahead and click out of that. And then you can go ahead and click on that down arrow right there and then click on Save and Close. And that bill has been saved. Now let's record payment of the bill that we just created. We're going to click on the plus new button and then select pay bills. Plus new button once again on the top left corner, click on that, and then under vendors you're going to select pay bills. Now, as a note here, if the payment account field on the top left corner is blank, be sure to select MasterCard, as you, his bookkeeper, know that this is how Craig pays for this particular bill. So mine is unselected right here. I'm going to click on that down arrow so that I could select MasterCard. If yours is also showing that way, make sure to make that adjustment. Now we're going to filter this to only show the bills that are in the East location. So we're going to click on filters and then in the location field, select East. So filters is right here. Now, as you can see, there's only a handful, maybe 6 different bills that are in here. But if you have 30, 40 bills that are showing up in here, hopefully you don't, but if you do have that many, using this filter feature is definitely going to help narrow down and just look at the ones that you want for the particular location. So we're going to practice doing that. Click on this filters right here, and then in the location field, click on that down arrow and select East, and then we are going to click on the green apply button. And now you can see there is only one bill here. It is the one for Hall Properties. So go ahead and click on that checkbox right here to select it. Now you notice that as soon as you click on this checkbox, QBO has automatically filled in this payment field to match what is on the open balance. We're going to leave it as is, but just as a note in a real life scenario, if for whatever reason your client has not made a full payment on an open balance for a bill, you would adjust this field right here to match whatever the payment is. For this exercise, Craig has paid the bill in full, so you can just leave it as is. We are going to click on the down arrow next to save and then select save and close. Click that down arrow right there and then select save and close. And now we have recorded that payment. And just as a note here, that is not actually paying the bill. That is just recording that the bill was paid itself. You would do your actual payment of the bill in a different manner, whether, however the vendor has it set up, whether you're sending a check or you're paying online or whatever it is. After you have actually paid that bill, then you do that pay bill feature to record that the bill has actually been paid. All right, so finally, let's create a profit and loss report just for the East Coast location. So from the left navigation bar to get into the report center, we're going to click on reports. Here's that left navigation bar right here. Here is reports. Click on that. And we are going to, in the business overview section, click on profit and loss by location. Now you can, oh, I got a little pop up here. You could click on profit and loss, but going to the profit and loss by location is going to sort it by location, which is what Craig is looking for. So let's go ahead and do that. Profit and loss by location is right here. Click on that. And when you do, the report is going to be run for you. As you can see, there is this east column, this west column, and then it is showing the total between the two right there. But we only want to see what it looks like for the East Coast location. So we're going to customize the report by clicking on Customize. That is up at the top here. Click on Customize. This pop-out is going to come up for us. In the report period field, we want to select all dates. So click into this box right here, go ahead and select all dates. And then again, we only want to see the East Coast office location. So we want to click on the down arrow next to filter to expand it. I'm sorry, it's not a down arrow, but an arrow. So click on that arrow to expand filter. And then on the location line, we're going to click on the down arrow on the drop down to select East. So scroll down a little bit, you will see location is right here. Click on that down arrow to expand it, and you want to select East. You'll notice that as soon as you do that, the checkbox for location has been selected, and that is because it is recognizing that that is the type of information that we are filtering for this particular report. So now we just need to click on the green Run Report button. And here you go. You will see only showing the East. Now, since this report is already filtered by location, there is no need to display it in the column heading right here. Because look, the East location right here is matching the total. We're showing the same information basically twice. So you can remove it under Customize by selecting Total Only in the columns drop down, which you would go click on that button and do that step. If you do that, be sure to change the report heading so that it is accurately reflecting the fact that this is only the East Coast location. So customizing it to show total only, this would get rid of this column, and then you would want to click on this to edit it so it says profit and loss for East Coast office. And that way you could just edit it and show it exactly a very simple way without repeating information to Craig. You could always click on, once you were done, you could always click on this to export it. You could print it, you can email it to Craig at that point. But that is how you would create and use locations. Now, if you liked this exercise and you want to do more like it, or if you want more information about that advanced level ProAdvisor certification course, be sure to click on the link below in the description, and I will see you in the next exercise.